Hi everyone, it's Mr. Wright here and it's great to have you back for this video, and today is part 3 of Arthur and the Golden Robe, and I can't wait to find out what happens next. And if you remember rightly, we packed our bags with useful and magical items for our own journey, and Arthur is ready to embark on his own journey through the forest. So let's find out what happens. Here's some of the amazing vocabulary we spotted last time. Unlikeliest, unusual, having the prefix un meaning not. So not likely, not likely to be a hero. And unusual, not usual, not common, making them interesting, like our hand of time. Ancient, meaning old, from the past. And enchanted, meaning magical. Let's look out for some more fab words as we read. Now, we've already met Arthur. We know he lives in Iceland, in that town. It's lit by the fire, isn't it, in the centre. It's warming and keeping the place safe. Of course, it's Professor Brownstone who's sort of telling us this tale from Arthur's journal, one of those humble stories. And we found out how he's collected some of his items, hasn't he? Including the Hand of Time, which was in the tower, and the feather and the enchanted staff. So let's see what happens next. One day, while Arthur was attempting to track down a rare species of magical worm, he was startled by a terrible howl. A moment later, he was plunged into darkness as a huge black shape bounded over him and disappeared. Now, Arthur hasn't really spotted this creature. It sort of whizzed overhead past him, but we can see what it is. Arthur quickly clambered up the nearest tree and poked his head over the top of a canopy. Right there, heading straight for his town, was a monstrous black wolf. It's already made it to the town. He could only watch in horror as the wolf put out the great fire before it leaped back into the darkness of the forest. Trying to stop him, but an arrow has had absolutely no effect on this creature. Arthur hurried back to the town and felt the cold close in on him. The final embers of the great fire were dying, and everyone was huddled together as Atrix began to speak. Without the great fire warming our town, every house will be frozen solid in less than a week, Atrix warned. And all of us soon after. The townsfolk gasped in fear. But wait, there is a way we can be saved. Across the sea lies the land of the Viking gods. In a mighty hall on top of a mountain, there lives a god with a hammer that can command the skies. He alone has the power to relight the fire. So Atrix knows, doesn't she? Look at that image. Powerful, shining, mighty. It's Thor, god of thunder. So it looks like we're going to need him to help us. This is very eerie and spooky and dark in the town now, isn't it? It doesn't feel warm and safe like it did before. And look, only one small candle to light the way. They definitely need Thor's help. As the townsfolk looked around, they realised a slight problem with this plan. Everyone had been injured by the wolf, from their toughest warriors to their doughiest bakers. There was no one to send. And look at the way they've been hurt. We've got people with broken legs, banged heads, sprains, and their thigh, maybe it's had a gash to it from one of the claws or talons. Terrible bang to the head. Again, sprains and bumps and bangs, and this old man here, he's got a black eye. Arthur's not hurt, piped up one of his classmates. These people are looking very unhappy. Arthur's looking upset. I wouldn't be surprised if all his meddling brought the beast to us in the first place. He's much too small. He wouldn't last 2 seconds in the land of the gods. And the only reason he has remained unhurt is because he spends all his time in the forest with those demons. Yeah, he's just a no good meddler. So they're blaming Arthur. They're blaming him for this creature coming into town. And now they're saying he couldn't possibly help them out. Arthur's looking really upset. Look how gloomy this is. It's his bedroom at night, isn't it? I think this is the way he's feeling. Gloomy and dark and lonely. And look at this cobwebs making it look ancient, this house. That night Arthur lay wide awake, the harsh words of the townsfolk running through his head. Maybe he was a meddler and had led the wolf straight to the town. Taking a deep breath, Arthur decided that he must go and find the god of storms. Packing up his most useful possessions, he climbed out of his bedroom window and headed for the harbour. He must be sneaking out at night so he doesn't have to see the townsfolk. He'd had many adventures in the forest. How much harder could this be? I think Arthur's thinking this to himself, isn't he? I think he's very worried about this journey. But he's got all his useful items ready and he's looking at a map. This must be his journey. And here it is. This is the map that Arthur's looking at. It's his journey to the kingdom of the gods. He's snuck out at night, hasn't he? It looks like as he was sailing away, he's looking back, maybe worried, maybe feeling lonely and worried about his journey ahead. Probably wishing he could stay, but he feels that he must go on. That looks like the Kraken, a beast that smashes and swallows ships in Sailor's Hole. Arthur's had to battle him. And here, dangerous rocks. Looks like Arthur nearly crashed and became shipwrecked like these other ships. He's made it past mermaids, pirates, and even past dangerous sea serpents and other mythical beasts. What a journey he's had. His whole journey's been told just through this illustration, hasn't it? No words, just our eyes and our imagination. This makes me think of a fab challenge I can leave you with today. Our bags are packed with our useful and magical items, and now it's time to create our own journey for our own story. And here I've had a go myself. So this is your challenge. I have created a journey from my home to the kingdom where the gods live, with lots of exciting parts to it, just like Arthur's. Now when I did it, I tried to think of all the useful items I had in my bag and how they might come in useful on this journey. So I trudged through the fields of flowers, eventually reaching a cliff, and I climbed down that cliff using my magical unbreakable dental floss, but unfortunately slipped and splashed headfirst into the deep dark sea. Luckily pirates were sailing by, and when they fished me out of the sea, they demanded payment, and I gave them as payment the fiery hot chili sauce and one drink, and you're impervious to fire. It was such a good bargain that they agreed to take me the rest of my journey to reach the magical kingdom. On the way there, we battled enormous sharks, and I'd stopped this shark from chewing a hole into the ship by using my magical minty fresh breath. One blow of that breath and it freezes anything. The sea around it froze and it was trapped, frozen forever. And once I made it onto the island, I had to trudge through the sand in my very trusty walking shoes, eventually making it to the palace on the top of that mountain. So your challenge is to have a go at drawing your own journey. Think about how your items can come in useful. You could draw it like this, you could write it, or you could just tell it to somebody. And I hope you have lots of fun trying it out.